And together, this is last week of Epoch. Tonight's episode is very different. We have with us one of the CTs, Heavy. He's one of the only ones that can make it. Everybody else is busy playing Tribes of Midgard right now. I'm going to call him out on it. So, Heavy, thank you so much for joining us for our CT Appreciation Night.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think like my priorities are a little bit different than the other guys, but
Well,
to be here,
we appreciate where your priorities are.
I
we
mean, Last
def-
Epoch is like anything related to Last Epoch is like good, and like all the community stuff and whatever is going on. Yeah, I'm really glad to support that in any shape or form.
well, we're glad to have you here. So, Heavy, how is it that you actually ended up becoming a community tester within the Last Epoch community?
To be honest, we don't know exactly with which criteria the devs choose the community testers, because when the program was announced back then, I think that's like probably what was it, like 8 months, 9 months ago, like a little bit before the Rogue patch, like 2 patches before the Rogue, the program started.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it was just like they announced the program, and then I was like, okay, maybe I could be someone, I don't know, because I was already very active in the forums and stuff. And then yeah, I got an email, and they asked me to join, and yeah, of course I did, because like that's like the best thing in my opinion, to try make the game as good as possible. And yeah, they never like really disclosed what criteria they choose people on, but I know that we have a lot of different people from different backgrounds. We have like hardcore gamers, we have like casual gamers. There are so many different kind of players in this program. It's not all like the elitist hardcore dudes that play like 20 hours a day.
So you're saying there's a good wide variety of different types of
Yes,
people
and people
testing.
don't realize that.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
okay.
actually
Because like some are very active in the forums, but there are also some community testers that are not active in the forums but on other platforms. And yeah, like for me personally, I'm a lot on the forums, and yeah, it's just there are a lot more than most people probably realize.
Oh, okay.
I think that's actually like really smart on like EHG's part too, to like get feedback from like various levels of players, so you're not just catering to one style of gamer. Because like if they just cater the game to like those of us who play the game hardcore and play the game, 10 hours a day or whatever, the game's going to look very differently than if they put in some things for the casual players here and there to keep them coming back as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the thing is like all players that are part of this program are very passionate about the game. It's not like that they choose some random dude that like is in the community for like 10 days and like wrote like 3 forums posts or whatever. So like everybody that is part of the program is really passionate and has like not necessarily like a lot of play hours, but generally is like really invested into the game and the community. And then yeah, they get feedback from like several different types of players. Like we have some people with like literally kids and family. They play like 1-2 hours in the evening, but they're still very passionate about the game because they like it.
Yeah, and that's always something you have to have is definitely passion for a game because if you don't have passion for the game, then your feedback isn't always going to be the best way of, or at least in my experience, people that aren't as passionate about a game don't give the best feedback back. And I think that's one of the things they look at with UCTs is giving very clear, precise feedback back on the things that you test. So with that, being able to test new things in the game, what are some of the things you like about testing new stuff, and what are some of the things you don't like about getting to test new stuff?
So let's start with the stuff that I don't like.
Okay.
That is, for example, like if we get like a patch or like a part of the patch, and basically I'm spoiling myself a little bit because we don't receive like the full blown patch. And when the patch goes live at some point, I'm already spoiled a lot, basically, because like when the patch goes live for the public, everybody says, "Oh, excited! New skill, new dust, new items, new whatever." And I basically almost everything I know already. Not necessarily always everything, but a lot of the stuff. And for me, in these types of games, one of the most exciting things is like finding like a unique and whatever, like it's a unique two-handed mace, whatever. And then you're like, oh wait, I didn't know this item, and then you're like really excited because you didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit spoiled.
So you're saying that takes the fun out of it for you is knowing what's ahead
Yeah,
sometimes. Okay.
that's basically, and I mean that's like the how do you say it, like the necessary evil to, you know, I mean there's no way around it basically. But yeah, then regarding the good parts, obviously like getting like feedback directly to the devs in a little bit more, like I mean the devs are very active on the forums, and I never have the feeling like in the public forums that my feedback isn't heard, but like the type of connection you make with the devs in the program is really special,
Yeah.
because you're very like with some of their, for example, with some of their QA devs, like the
Hmm.
devs that are very specific for quality testing and stuff like this. We are working very close together with them, and it feels really that you have like a big impact.
That's the QA team, right? What they call the QA. Okay.
Yeah, Reimer, for example, Reimer is very like close to the whole like CT team. And yeah.
So is kissing ire too? Isn't that's a
I'm
she,
kissing
right?
her.
That's a she,
She
right?
was a,
Yeah.
she was a community tester and now became a QA dev.
Okay.
And like you can see like when she was a community tester, you really clearly could see that she's like very passionate about the like giving like the smallest little bit of detail like on feedback, like some weird animation, and you have like this weapon equipped with this skill, and you do the animation, and this little bit is not correct, and like very detailed feedback.
So very on point with it. So to recap, the things that you like the most though then is being able to give the direct feedback and having a much closer relationship with the devs on being able to see changes implemented and things like that nature then.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So
Excellent.
how much time does it take for you on average to do this, the whole feedback process?
You mean like when I'm starting with like new content or whatever, and then to finally like summarize my feedback basically?
Yes. Like how
Uh,
much time is invested in all that for the whole testing thing?
that's like really hard to say. It really depends on the patch and the size of the changes and whatever. Like for example, like the rogue patch was so massive because we got so much with at once. Like everything was implemented in one big bulk, and there was so much to test that like it was basically impossible to get feedback on everything. Like, and then we basically I took like a few skills that I liked a lot, and I try to give like a lot of detailed feedback for some stuff and some basic feedback for other stuff. But like usually, like if we get our hands on a patch, I would say like usually we play 1 or 2 weeks before giving feedback. Like sometimes early feedback can be good for like first impression, but usually we try to play a little bit more until we get feedback out. It's not like okay, we play 2 days and get feedback out. It's more like playing 1 or 2 weeks and then getting like the first batch of feedback out. And then if the cycle, like the testing periods, they last pretty long sometimes depending on the patch.
Okay. So basically, it's like you said, it's hard to give an accurate estimate on the actual time, but usually you're talking about 2 weeks of time overall before you're actually starting to put feedback in. So let's just safely assume that that's basically how much the work time is, because it takes that time invested in between plus everything else you guys do outside of the game before you're able to actually start giving the feedback back. So I would say the 2 weeks is the rough estimate there then on that one. And whenever it comes to testing and your free time, what do you do for fun when you're actually not testing anything inside Last Epoch?
So basically, since I'm part of the program, I like when an active testing period is currently active, I play a lot less live, like the normal live version on Last Epoch. Usually, I only play the normal version on stream, basically because I'm keep streaming even while we have a community patch up. And outside of that, like I mean, I play all kinds of other video games sometimes, but yeah, usually I do play a lot during the test because the testing periods are like they last a few weeks depending on the patch, and then in that time frame I do play a lot of this patch basically,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah I just my 2 days a week I'm streaming, and outside of that usually I don't actually play Last Epoch that much.
What days do you stream on, just so everybody viewing this can know when they can
I'm
catch you?
streaming on Wednesday and Saturday UTC+2, so that's like roughly like 1 p.m. US time.
Okay, that's would be 1 p.m. my time, then Eastern Standard Time that you're usually
Yeah.
streaming. Okay, awesome. That way everybody knows when they can catch you. We're also going to have a link in the bottom of this on the YouTube page for Heavy, as well as some of the other CTs. The other CTs couldn't be here, but we're still going to put links to theirs as well that we know that stream. One of them I wish that could have been here was Quiet for Me. He's playing Tribes of Midgard along with McFluffin, so that's why they are not here. So, and
Like that sometimes.
it does, man. Priorities, priorities. We got Heavy though, so we've
Yeah,
got
the
we
game
got
is
him.
good. I already played the game too, and
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, it just
Like,
came out today, so I guess like they just want to have some fresh air because it's a really different kind of game, but it's really cool.
we were sitting there watching it. Everybody had the loading screen at one point because I guess they dropped like a quick little patch update. So there's a lot of people trying to get into games, and they were all complaining about it. So I went and looked on the Twitch for it. Sure enough, everybody's screen said loading on their actual stream screens.
oh man, that's rough.
So with a lot of people watching it, that can't be too good. So you don't get paid to do this as a job. What keeps you motivated to do this, Heavy?
Yeah, as I already said in the beginning, like for me, the most satisfying part about this is like seeing how like a patch shapes up when we first receive a patch. It's not in its final shape yet, and then so basically from the moment we get our first hands on a patch, and then seeing it how it shapes up basically, and having like really noticeable impact on some of the stuff, because like sometimes we get a basic system and you can see where the devs want to go, but then like a lot of us give feedback, and then maybe they implement like a change, or and then maybe then on the patch after that they implement like a change that goes a little bit into the direction of what the feedback was, and then you can really see that they had maybe an idea in mind, and I mean they don't completely scrap their ideas based on feedback, but you can really see how sometimes you have a noticeable impact on some specifics about a system, especially like the like I mean it's a little bit sad that I can't get into too much details, but like the 082 patch with the monolith system, that was such a big system, and I mean you can't imagine how much that changed.
I mean, I played the old system, so yeah, getting to see the new system is definitely a
Yeah, I
lot
mean
different.
even the new system that we got from the first patch to the
Oh, okay.
082,
Okay, so
it's
you
like
guys got something different to look at.
I
So,
mean, not entirely different, but there was so many small pieces, and when they all changed, it's like it's amazing to see the process of yeah how it evolves like within like a like the testing periods are not that long, but like over like a couple of weeks, it really evolves.
so you get to see all the little twists and turns that they take whenever they're steering the car, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So, that's awesome, man.
That actually sounds amazing to watch because, like, when I first got into Last Epoch, it was like a year ago. I played it for like a month and then put it down. Like, other stuff came out that I wanted to play. And then, like, coming back a year later with point 8.2, like, it felt like in-game especially just felt like a whole new game had opened up for me. So like it would be amazing to see that process just play out in front of me as like I'm getting to test and stuff like that. That would be really really cool to
I mean,
see.
even for the public, the regular patch schedule, which was like about 2 months, and now we're getting a little bit longer, so maybe like 2 to 3 months. But for an early access game, the patch cycles and what did they change with each patch is really amazing. Like if you, I don't know how many other like beta or early access games you played, but last Epoch, like the speed at which the game evolves is insane.
Yeah, especially with how small of a team they started off with. It was what, like just a few handful of people at first doing this as an after hours project before they started hiring more people in. Now they're up to what, 50 people full staff?
Uh,
That's still a small team for a video game development company.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's still an indie developer. I mean, obviously they got a lot bigger, but yeah, it's like amazing that how the like it's not only the quantity of how fast they get the updates out, but each update has so much either content or like quality of life, interface, whatever. Like the new interface is so amazing. Like over the last couple of patches, they did a lot with the interface. I think it was 08 or 081, I'm not actually sure, but they did the first pass on some of the UI elements where like in the quest log you have like art in the background in the quest log window, and like the character sheet and whatever, like all those little details. It's so amazing. And when you open like the skill window and like behind the skill tree, basically you have like some artwork, and like in the skill trees, like all those little artworks in the skill trees. For example, like for the hammer throw, that was one of the coolest skills, where you have like artworks resembling what kind of branch inside the skill tree it is, like the spiraling, the bouncing, the void thingy. Like you have this artwork inside the skill spec tree. It's like, yeah, it's so cool.
So that's just one of the changes that you've got to notice over the time of your time in playing in it. So for me, with my time in playing it, I don't get to see everything like you do. You know, as a CT, you get a little bit of advance warning. So I've got to see it go from being a game in which you had most of your stuff based upon stats to now finding gear that has resistances on it, items having actual levels on them, new items being added into the game, changes to items. Like some of the items I remember, some of them you could get at the beginning of the game. You know, we've talked about this a couple times before. Cynical was, you know, you put a bunch of dodge on your character at the start. Now you can't do the whole dodge thing as much. They changed the way some of them work. One of the items I think that used to give dodge now gives armor to minions and something else. So they've changed some of the items up too as it's progressed as well. So you being a CT, do you guys get to test items specifically? I have to ask this. Do they make you test an item out specifically for interactions?
No, not really. I mean, we do get a couple of uniques and stuff inside the testing period, but usually we don't get every single unique that gets added with a patch, because like uniques usually don't need a lot of testing, because when they design the uniques they put a lot of thought into it already. So like we and the thing is, community testing is not that much about like theory crafting and like finding the absolute maximum abuse cases for certain like uniques or mechanics or skills or whatever.
Earthquake werebear.
Yeah, for example. But it's like, obviously, like if there's something that stands out, we do like inform the devs, and then maybe they do something about it. But like it's more about like the whole package, and not like min-maxing. Like that's not what we do. Like we don't look for the absolute edge case. If this class was this unique and this skill and whatever, this is not really what we do.
Just had to ask.
Yeah, I was also curious. I'm glad you asked that question. So something that I am a little curious about. I know you said that your testing period is like 2 weeks, and you guys provide some feedback. Is there like, do you guys have like a determined point in time where they like want you to have the feedback in by, or is it kind of like as you see stuff you can mention it to them and then they take that information and do what they need to do with it.
So the 2 weeks was just referring to the question Grim asked, where like when I am personally ready to give my feedback. So the actual time of the testing period is sometimes a little bit longer, but it heavily depends on the patch. And we do get like no hard deadlines, so to speak, but usually we like when we get the patch, and then like sometimes we get like a little reminder of like, okay, we want to have this and this system a little bit better in place. Please provide the feedback like before the weekend or whatever. So we don't get like hard deadlines, but sometimes we get like a little reminder from the desk that like, okay, would be nice if you can get your feedback out in the next 1 or 2 days, or like until the weekend or whatever. And it's very like dynamic. It's not like, okay, now you have to get your feedback or it will not be considered.
So it's very fluid then, the work.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. It's nice.
That's awesome.
And it's also one of the things, because we're doing this already a longer time. The first 1 or 2 testing periods were very different from the ones we're doing now, because we got like a lot, like we got to know the devs a little bit more, and even like inside the community tester group we do know each other a little bit more. And so it's it like how we approach stuff and how we deliver feedback also changed a lot. And this is also, for example, one of the things where I see myself benefiting from the program the most. How I personally deliver feedback improved so much because of this program. When you see some of my old forum posts, I just wrote walls of text, like, because I'm very passionate and I want to like give as much detail as possible, but sometimes like it's not that valuable actually to write too much. And yeah, I want to give a shout out to Stanswa, so Dan from EHG, on the very first testing period. Like nobody know what we're expecting. Like everybody had like an idea what we were doing, and then we had like I think like it was 1 day before we got our hands on the patch, or it was the day where we patching. Like it was the day where we get the patch, I think, and then we were like in voice with some of the devs.
Yeah.
And he basically gave like some like motivational speech, and it was like really cool. And he's very mindful of how he puts things, and like he's really like yeah, like his dexterity with the words is really good. And he basically gave us a little bit of a crash course how we should deliver feedback in the most best way, so the devs can work with it. And it's so amazing. Like when I got that, I slept 1 day, and at the next day I think about it a little bit more, and like it impacted me in such a way. Every time I go to the forums and I write any kind of feedback, I still have his words in my head. And when you like write like a wall of text, you can always cut stuff and make it more precise without losing the context. You can make basically, and then like if you see some of my old forums posts and compare them to some of the newer ones, like one sentence, point number 1, one sentence, point number 2, like very precise, quick. Okay, this is good, this is good, this is bad, this is some suggestion, this. It's like very like points by points, and not like a whole text of like multiple sentences around like the same subject, which you could have said like a lot easier and quicker. It's much easier to read the feedback for the devs, also for like if it's in a public forum. And for me personally, it also takes a lot less time to write the feedback.
Oh, okay.
Like the wall of text stuff, like can suffer from like what you were just saying, where like you spend multiple sentences on the same point, and like you eventually just kind of lose the point itself, and it just feels like you're rambling. So then like the feedback doesn't get taken as seriously because they kind of tune out because they don't feel like reading an entire wall of text to say one sentence, basically.
And then the other thing is also because a lot of people forget the devs are also gamers. They play their own game. And sometimes you like for example, like you have like a boss fight, and then like there are some abilities which are maybe not clear or whatever. You don't have to exactly describe, okay, this ability is not clear because of this and this and this and this and this. You can just say, okay, ability A is not clear, this is chaotic, this is maybe this is clear. And then when you give those basic statements out there, that's already usually enough for the devs to know, okay, what we can improve, because you don't need to tell them exactly when there's too much screen clutter. You don't need to describe that. They are gamers themselves and they can test it and they can see, okay, yeah, that's right. Maybe we can make this ability a little bit more clear or whatever. And so, yeah, it's always think about when you deliver feedback and somebody else that reads that feedback that also played this game, they usually know what you're talking about. You don't need to describe it in such a expense way, basically.
Okay. So I have to ask you this, Heavy. So I've been thinking about this question for like the last 5 minutes. So you don't like poison and you don't like minions in games. So I have to ask, what classes have you enjoyed playing the most, and what build types have you enjoyed? Because I already know poison and minions is out for you as far as enjoyment goes.
So for me personally, um, like literally the class and the skill that made me buy the game in the first place was the Reaper form and Harvest from Lich, or basically Reaper form is Lich, Harvest is Acolyte basic. And I mean, I played a lot of video games, but a video game where you can literally transform into a floating reaper with sizes and like harvesting your enemies, that's like the most badass thing I can ever think of. And literally, this is no joke. I bought the game because I saw that. I didn't inform myself about anything.
I love it. I love it. I'm sorry. Like that's perfect though, because like he's not wrong. Like the aesthetics of a game will also make me buy it. If I see something cool, I'm like, I have to know what that is now. I need to buy
And
this.
I mean, Reaper form objectively looks not that good. Like it's very low detail. It's not. I hope it gets its rework fast. Where like we already got like a sneak peek of the artwork, so it will probably get a rework. So it's like objectively, it's not that cool in like how detailed it is, but just the aesthetic is so amazing. And like the whole Lich class. So yeah, for me, my favorite build is like a Harvest Lich. Basically, that's my most powerful and most played character. And then I didn't care about any other classes. And then I was thinking about, okay, yeah, Sentinel, basic melee, every game did it, and like Sorcerer spitting out fireballs, basic, everybody did it, blah blah blah. And then I slowly discovered like the beauty of the skill tree system, and I was like, wait, but and then I saw like I think I dropped the wand that shoots multiple fireballs, like where you get like 2 additional projectiles of fireballs,
The straight
and then
line
I was
one?
like, what?
Was it the straight line one or the one that's
Yeah,
the
the
V?
fiery cinder song, as it's called, I think.
Oh, the wand.
It gives 2 projectiles for fireball and
Yeah.
it gives like minus mana cost, whatever. And
Yeah.
then I was like, okay, fireball is not my favorite skill in the game, but I just leveled a mage and tried it out. And then I discovered in the skill tree what you can make with like a simple skill like a fireball. I mean, fireball is like probably the most mage stereotype ability in any like action RPG, but Last Epoch still managed to, like, if you want, you can make this totally crazy with like spitting like 7 fireballs a second. You can make them home pierce, and then if you have the homing and the piercing, and they pierce the target, and then they like the whole screen is full of like fireballs, and you can literally shoot like 8, 9, 10 fireballs with one cast, and like literally the whole screen is full with fireballs. And so yeah, how you can evolve like a basic skill. And after I realized that, I re-watched a lot of skills that I, when I see a baseline skill and I'm not interested, I usually like don't even try it. And then when I discovered how the skill tree system works, there are some skills I don't like baseline, but you can make them into something that you really like. And that's one of the strongest points about the whole game, in my opinion.
Nice. I
I'm
for
glad you I'm glad you brought up that point about the skill tree because like I just had someone in my stream earlier today that was on the fence about buying Last Epoch, and they were asking me to like sell them on the game basically. And I kind of explained I was in the ecosystem trying to get to empowered mono. So like I explained that system real quick, and I was like, now let me show you the coolest thing about this game. And I brought up the skill and specialization window, and brought up the skill tree for like Warpath because I'm playing Warpath Void Knight right now. And I'm like, okay, so I went into this part of the Warpath tree, and like I was showing them all the abilities. I'm like, but you could play Warpath and build it completely differently and show them like what other skills, like other nodes on the skill tree did. I'm like, so your Warpath character will play completely differently than mine potentially, outside of the fact that we're both spinning in a circle. The effects though are completely different, and you can get different like it can look differently basically depending on how you build even just one skill. Like now imagine that applies to every skill for every class.
Yeah.
And they're
I
like,
mean,
yep. They're like, you sold me. I'm getting the game now. They're like, that's
and
awesome.
Warpath is like one of the skill that is probably not the best example of this because the Warpath skill tree is very old and it's not that
True.
good compared to some other skill trees. But yeah, it's amazing.
For me, it was the werebear. I seen the video for it, and they had the werebear form in it. And after I seen that, I was like, "Oh, it looks like the werebear from Diablo 2. I got to try this game out and see how it is." Started playing Primalist. Didn't like the Primalist. Didn't even bother getting up to werebear form. Ended up switching. Went to Source. Tried the Source out.
But the
Got the
beard, the beard.
I got the Source all the way up through Lagan and into the Monolith system pretty quickly because I played Glacier for my first Source, and I actually liked the Glacier skill. I thought it was very cool. Um, but the one thing that kept me around was whenever I heard about the Rogue coming out. After they had shown the little teaser of the Rogue and everything, I was like, oh, I got to come back to playing Last Epoch after that Rogue comes out. Rogue patch drops, and that's what pulled me back in and permanently pulled me back in. But now I've been on an Alkalite kick. You guys have had me making all kinds of crazy poison minion builds. So two
I like it.
things,
No,
two things, two things that Heavy does not like, and I've got them both in one build: poison and minions, and it slaps though, man. It does pretty good. I
the
enjoy
thing is,
it.
I'm like the kind of player. I never play what objectively is good. I just take what I like. I take any skill, any combination that I like. I like the theme, I like the aesthetic, whatever. And then I make it as good as possible within the box I set myself, but I will never choose in a specific ability because it's objectively better. And yeah, I just play the games how I want to play them. But in that box, I'm a pretty like I love min maxing, but I will never just play the skill X because that's like the most powerful thing.
Okay, so you do the Quinn 69 theory crafting. Oh, let's just try this one out. Screw it. Oh well, our build sucks. New build. You
No,
know who Quinn 69 is, don't you, Heavy?
I heard the name, but I'm really not super familiar with like all the different streamers and whatever because I don't usually watch that many like streamers.
He's like, he's kind of famous within PoE for being kind of trolly and having like really, really bad builds that don't get through content and then dying constantly in hardcore mode. And having some of the best reactions for his deaths. 'Cause he's like, "Oh my god, I got one shotted. Why?" It's like, dude, you got 2k HP in the final act. That's why you got one shotted, and you've got no resists. You put everything into your health. Just the crazy little antics that he pulls sometimes. So, what has been one of the best things for you about being a CT that you have absolutely liked the most, as far as like um, being in the community and getting to test things out? We've already talked about, but what I'm meaning is just being in the position of being a CT within the community and seeing how it's grown. What have you liked the most about watching the growth of the game?
I mean, this is not really related to being a community tester, but generally, like watching the. I mean, I'm part of the Last Epoch community since early access, so basically April 2019. That's when the game got into early access, and since then I'm playing it like all the time. And for me personally, just the forum is such an amazing forum. Like it's such an amazing place, and that's my main platform of like communicating with all the other community members and like watching it grow basically and like reading the same names in the forums over and over again, and then you have like you get to know some of them a little bit more because there are some very active members on the forums. That's for me personally very exciting because with some of them I basically did some we like had some like relationships that like basically growing, and like with some of the guys I have like even contact outside of the last Epoch forum now.
Okay. And you guys being that you're one of the German CTs, you guys kind of have like your own little Discord too, and do your own little kind of like community tournaments as well.
Yeah, yeah, the community tournaments are really new, but basically when I started the whole thing, I started it in October last year. For me, the main reason is, um, believe it or not, there are like a lot of German people that don't speak English that very well. And so for me, because like translation will come with release or after release, so it's a long time until like EHG will do the translation.
Okay.
And I just wanted to basically create like some sort of like sanctuary for players that still want to enjoy the game, but they can't enjoy the game to its fullest potential because of the language barrier. So that was for me the reason why I started the whole game. And then basically when I first started out, we did like some Q&A with like some like defining some of the game mechanics in German and like explaining some stuff in German, which is like because Last Epoch is pretty complex as a game. I mean, it's an action RPG, and there are so many things that like are intertwined basically. And then so when you don't understand all the mechanics, you will not be able to like fully like experience the game basically. And so yeah, I just wanted to create a platform for everybody that maybe has like some issues with the language to enjoy the game as much as possible. And then yeah, we just have like a random question corner, and then if people want to ask some stuff because they don't understand something or whatever, and then yeah, it really grown over time. I think we are like over 200 members now.
Okay. And how would somebody, if they don't speak English, how would somebody that's a native German speaker be able to find you guys to be able to join up for you guys for the community tournaments?
I mean, fun thing though, that was not planned. If you type in Google Last Epoch German Community, my Discord server is the first one that pops up, so it's relatively easy. I mean, that was not actually planned, but
That's actually awesome that you guys got your own community set up within that. And what did you guys did you guys have a tournament last week or the week before? What
no,
was the
no.
last tournament you did?
So basically, just for clarification, the tournament within the German community that's not hosted by me, that's hosted by Trickster and Zerozorg. Zerozorg is one of the German content creator. He did like he's doing some YouTube stuff and Twitch and so. And the last tournament was actually, I have to watch this actually. I don't actually know when this was. I think like 1 or 2 weeks ago.
And what were the rules with the tournament? Like, did you have
So
a certain school?
the first tournament was 25th of June until 4th of July. It was a detonating arrow. Basically, the two events we did had like one restriction where you have to use a specific skill.
Okay.
Everything else doesn't matter. And so the first one was detonating arrow, so that was marksman exclusive, and the second one was fireball, and then the mastery was basically you could also play spellblade, and yeah, and then it was basically like a 10-day event or 9-day event from Friday to Sunday, then week after. So basically, it's a little bit longer than, like, for example, the tournament that Vision is running, because the Vision tournament is like it's basically one weekend and you need to power through. And the event our guys did was a little bit more catered towards like newer players and players that don't have as much time. That was I think the whole idea they had. So like even like it's not about so much of winning. Like the goal is to reach the highest arena wave obviously, but it's not that much about like who's the best. It's just about creating some sense of community, and like we helping out each other and like discussing build ideas, and yeah, even getting like new players involved. We have some players that played the game for like 1 or 2 weeks and they already joined.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty good way of being able to meet new people, and that's awesome that your Discord is the first one that pops up in the search bar. And how much time exactly do you guys have for your tournaments? Like, is it like a full week? Like, do you start like
Yeah,
on a Sunday?
Friday to Sunday the next week. So basically 2
Okay,
weekends and 1 week.
awesome. So it's a lot more time and a lot less restrictive on players having to power through and farm stuff.
Yeah, right.
That's not bad. What if somebody doesn't speak German and they want to participate in the German community tournaments? Is that possible?
I don't know. I don't think so. Like, I mean, as much as we would love to, I mean, the problem is I don't host that, so you need to ask the other guys. But I think the problem is once you get like, it should stay within the German community because we exchange ideas in German and like using the German Discord. So I think it's a little bit tough, like because once like some people that don't speak German come in, and then maybe it will get a little bit yeah, I don't know. You have to ask the other guys because, as I said, I don't host that. So
Okay, that's not a problem. And who are the other CTs that couldn't be here tonight? I've already mentioned McFluffin, Quiet for Me. You've mentioned Trickster. Who are some of the other CTs? Oh, Llama's another one that we couldn't be here tonight too. So I already talked to him.
so from the German community, it's Trickster and Raw Suicide. You
Okay.
probably, like, if you are a little bit active on the forums, you probably know both of them. They both have the wrath icon in the forums, and like Llama is always joking about that, like they are basically the same person, and they are. It's like so crazy because I legitimately also confused them at the start when I starting out because like sometimes Raw Suicide posted something and Trickster, and then I like was coding to him, hey, but you said last week this and this, and then he was like, no, that was not me, that was the other guy, and they have the same icon. And then I didn't know that they are German at this point. And then I found out both are German. It's like, what? Yeah, and so far, like with the other community testers, I mean, I don't know how, like, who of those want to disclose if they are community testers. So I would not like call all community testers out, and because we did had a little bit of toxicity a few months back in the forums regarding the community tester program, and yeah, there was so some people deciding to step back a little bit and remove their community tester title in the forums, so you don't see that they are actually community testers.
Oh, okay. So everything that we've covered up to now has been basically all about the CT program and everything going with you. A little bit about what you like with the game. What other games do you play outside of Last Epoch, though?
So I'm a big, or I was at the moment not, but I'm a big MOBA fan. So like Dota, League of Legends, Heroes of New Earth. I played a little bit of Heroes of the Storm, but that's not really my thing. And my biggest MOBA, where I actually was pretty successful within the short lifespan, was Paragon from Epic, the third-person MOBA. I was actually like top 1% player there. I mean, it didn't have like an official ranked mode, but there was some kind of elo system. So yeah, I was basically on the top end skill level. And yeah, this is like currently I don't play that much. There are some games that are up and coming, but they are not out yet, where I probably will play a little bit more MOBAs.
Okay.
And yeah, outside of that, I mean, I also play other action RPGs like Path of Exile. I did play some like indie action RPGs. They're like some very small, cool games I enjoyed for like a couple of dozens hours. And then, I mean, that's like cool. Not every game needs to keep you like hundreds of hours to enjoy the game.
What's
And
your favorite champion in League of Legends? I have to ask you that because I play League too.
oh, that's very hard. So Mordekaiser, obviously, because he's metal as fuck.
Yes, I'm here for this.
By the way, Mordekaiser is a German name. Kaiser is emperor in German.
What is more then?
Morde is basically murdering. So
Oh.
he's a murdering emperor.
That just makes me like him all the more.
Yeah, I did like actually when Mordekaiser released, they did an event where you had to post your most metal picture and then you could win his starter pack with skins. And that was pretty cool contest because I basically sent in some like pictures of holding my bass guitar, which has like pretty sick, like the design is pretty like aggressive and very metal. And then I didn't win, but it was still a fun contest. So yeah, Mordekaiser, my probably which does not fit me at all, but just from a play style, my my favorite role is actually support because saving your team asses like your teammates' asses is like the most satisfying thing ever. My favorite hero is Soraka.
Soraka?
It's like I just like the global heal ult. That's like basically you're robbing the fun from enemies when you save your allies or whatever, and then you're like, fuck you.
I love it. I love it.
And yeah, Jin as an AD carry. I mean, Jin is like the whole aesthetic and like the like the serial killer psychopath thingy. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. No, I like Sion. Sion's like my main up in the top lane. I love him for the top lane. Mid lane, I got two different mid laners I like. I like Ryze and Lissandra. And then whenever I'm jungling, straight Graves or Lee Sin, man. Those are my two junglers. Bot lane, bot
Jungling
lane
would
I
be
hate.
Zac. Zac is my favorite jungler. Zac is just so annoying.
That's because he just springboards over the wall, especially if you max E first.
Actually, I really dislike that they changed his ulti and then changed it back again because like for some short period he had like the ulti where he goes into the ground and then everything in the area he can take with him. You know that ulti, and
Yeah,
they changed
yeah.
that back to the jumping ulti again. But the other ulti was so much more rewarding.
Well, the other ulti, I watched a guy post a video where he took and jumped over the wall on a team of 5 with Zach, picked them all up, and brought them over the wall to a Nunu ult, and the Nunu pentakilled the whole entire team, bringing them over.
And like wombo combos.
The wombo combos,
What
yep.
do you mean?
That's great. Have you played Spellbook at all since it's been out?
Which one?
Spellbook, it's the new game mode they released where you get like an extra
League of
ultimate.
Legends?
Yes, you get like an
No.
extra ultimate.
I only play like normal 5v5, and back in the day when Twisted Treeline was still there, I really liked the 3 versus 3. I so sad
Oh
when it
yeah,
disappeared.
I was very sad about
I miss
that.
Twisted Tree Line a lot.
Dude, Twisted Treeline was the best. That was like the one thing I played the most. That's how I met half my league friends right now. I got is from Twisted
I actually
Treeline.
participated in one of the first events they did. Like it's like so long ago. It's probably like I don't know how long that is ago. They did like a tournament in Twisted Treeline, and with 2 of my friends, I actually got like I think 4th or 5th place. That was like I just like the 3 versus 3 so much.
I just didn't like the way the meta shaped up in 3v3 where it became a whole big support meta where you would just have the support roaming with your top laner and you would take and go through the jungle, clear the jungle out, and then you would either hard shove the wave in and then go into the other side jungle and go kill the jungler and get that person ahead. I did not like that meta. I liked it better whenever it was straight up top laner, bot laner, and one person juggling. But
Like
after what's that, Heavy?
the whole like one thing that I really hate about League of Legends. I mean, it's a really good game. It has a lot of champions, a lot of variety in terms of champions itself. But one of the things that I really dislike, why I also don't play it that much anymore. You need to understand, I played it since the very beginning, like the very beginning, and there was a lot more freedom in terms of team setup. And at like season 2, 3, 4, they evolved some kind of meta, and Riot didn't even try to combat that. They just embraced it, and now it's like this completely fixed meta. There is no other way to play the game. Like with the 2 bottom, jungler, top lane, middle. It's like so like they basically, yeah, as I said, they don't try to make it more varied and just embrace the meta. And I really hate MOBAs where the meta is so fixed.
Yeah, that's
That's why I love
understandable.
Dota so much, but I barely play it. I do have probably more Dota than League of Legends playtime actually. But
Ooh.
yeah, it's
Hey.
just
So we asked your favorite League hero. Now I have to know, since you said you've played more Dota than League, who's your favorite Dota hero?
oh my goodness. Nepo.
You are the exact person I won't own my team, but never ever want to play against.
And speaking of wombo combo, Elder Titan. Like the dude that makes like the big rift in the ground that pops open. Elder Titan.
You got Cynical's brain frying right now.
I think in the original Dota it was some kind of Tauren. In Dota 2 it's like you need to look him up. It's like the big cow.
Yeah, I know the character you're thinking of. I just can't think of his name off the top of my head. It's been a minute since I actually loaded up Dota. But yeah, I've also like I played a bunch of League when it first was like in beta. Like I was beta testing
Bloodhoof. It's in Dota 1.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
With the big ulti where you can like literally if you hit like the entire team you're just ripping them apart.
Well, moving on to the last thing we've got to cover was Vision GL's tournament from the previous week. We didn't get to cover that in the last week at Epoch because we were covering the dev blog. So in first place for that tournament was Mao with 302 waves. Second place was Lizard IRL with 275 waves, and the third place is Tunk with 273 for that tournament. So that's Vision GL's tournament. There will also be a link down in the description below on YouTube for Vision GL's Discord. If you want to get involved in the community tournaments that we do, you'll be able to check that out. Heavy, thank you so much for coming to our CT appreciation night. It would have been nice to get much more of the other CTs with us. We thank you very much for coming on and spending this time with us, man. Glad to have you.
Yeah, thanks so much. And thank you for the podcast in general. I really like all kinds of community efforts, so I hope you keep doing this and do some different guests and topics and whatever.
Oh, we most definitely will be getting some more guests. I got to try to get Lizard on next. I got to get Lizard. That's the one guy that Cynical wants on.
You just want me to explode into confetti when I see Lizard's
All right, that's all the time we got for last week of Epoch, guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one.